Imagine being enslaved. Then imagine your oppressor offering you a gift on Christmas Day. A general strike. No violence. Just refuse to work until they meet your demands. So on December 25th, 1831, 60,000 enslaved Jamaicans did exactly that. 2 days later, nearly every sugar plantation on the island was burning. This is the Baptist War, the rebellion that changed the trajectory of the entire British Empire. Jamaica in 1831 was a powder keg. According to the Jamaica Information Service and historical records, enslaved people outnumbered white colonists 12-1, 60,000 out of 300,000. They worked the sugar fields, they built the wealth, they generated the empire's fortune. But slavery was dying. According to British parliamentary records, the abolition of slavery was being seriously debated in London. The question wasn't if slavery would end, the question was when. Then a Baptist missionary named Thomas Burchell returned from Christmas vacation in England. According to historical documentation, rumors immediately circulated among the enslaved community that Burchell was carrying official documents from King William IV granting full emancipation. The enslaved people believed freedom had already been granted. They believed London had set them free. All they had to do was demand their rights. But on December 24, 1831, the Jamaican governor made an announcement. According to official records, he declared that the rumors were false. There was no emancipation, no freedom granted. The enslaved people had been lied to. In that moment, discontent exploded. Samuel Sharpe, known as Daddy Sharpe, was a Baptist deacon. According to Jamaican national records, Sharpe was one of the few enslaved men who was literate, educated, and trusted enough to move around the island. He was born around 1801, and he had used his limited freedom to do something revolutionary. He had been organizing, he had been planning. According to the Jamaica Information Service, at the end of prayer meetings in mid-December 1831, Sharpe would have select leaders stay behind. He would tell them stories of the Demerara slave revolt in Guyana in 1823. He would remind them of rebellions on other Caribbean islands. Then he would make them swear on a Bible to follow his plan. The plan was simple: peaceful resistance, a general strike. On Christmas Day, they would refuse to work. They would demand better working conditions and a wage, half the going rate, according to historical records. They would strike during the sugarcane harvest, when every moment counted, when the planters needed the labor the most. Sharpe believed the planters would capitulate. He believed they would surrender to economic pressure. He believed freedom could be negotiated. But he was wrong. On December 27, 1831, according to Jamaica's National Archive, the Kensington estate near Montego Bay caught fire. Not by accident, by design. The strike had escalated. Someone, history doesn't say who, set the cane fields ablaze. That fire was a signal. It said, "We are done negotiating." And across Jamaica, plantations erupted. According to contemporary records, more than 100 properties were set on fire. More than 40 sugar works were destroyed. The property damage totaled £1.15 million, roughly $124 million in modern currency. The Black Regiment, led by a commander only known as Colonel Johnson, defeated militia forces on December 28th. According to historical documentation, the militia retreated to Montego Bay while the Black Regiment seized estates, burned plantation homes, and urged enslaved people to join them. For the first time in Jamaica's brutal history, the enslaved were winning. For the first time, they held power. But the empire responded with overwhelming force. According to records, the British Army sent regular troops. Sir Willoughby Cotton assumed command. Martial law was declared, and the Jamaican Maroons, themselves descendants of escaped slaves, were called in to suppress the rebellion. By the first week of January, the uprising was crushed. Then came the vengeance. According to multiple historical sources, the reprisals were worse than anything the rebels had done. Courts martial were held. Trials lasted minutes. According to a missionary account from 1853, 3 or 4 people were executed simultaneously. Their bodies were piled up and dumped in mass graves on the outskirts of town. One person was executed for stealing a pig, another for stealing a cow. According to official records, 310 to 340 enslaved men and women were executed, including Samuel Sharpe, who was hanged on May 23, 1832, in what is now Sam Sharpe Square in Montego Bay. But here's what the empire couldn't kill: his legacy. Samuel Sharpe's sacrifice changed everything. According to British parliamentary records, the Baptist War accelerated the abolitionist movement in ways nothing else could. 2 years later, the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 passed. By August 1, 1838, slavery was abolished throughout the entire British Empire. Every colony, every possession, full emancipation. The rebellion that lasted 11 days sparked a transformation that freed millions. In 1982, the Jamaican government declared Samuel Sharpe a national hero. His face now appears on the $50 Jamaican banknote. But that title came 150 years too late. He was already gone. Yet his words, spoken to missionary Henry Bleby while sitting in jail awaiting execution, still echo. "I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live my life in slavery." That is the Baptist War. That is the Christmas Rebellion. That is how one man's refusal to accept enslavement changed the world. Comment below. Samuel Sharpe believed negotiation was possible. How do you think history changes if the planters had negotiated? Share this with someone who needs to know that resistance works, even when it costs everything. Subscribe to Ikemefuna History TV because we're telling the stories of the rebels, the revolutionaries, and the ones who refused to be broken. What other untold stories of resistance do you want us to uncover? Let's keep revealing the truth together.